wanted to chat with you guys about sexual harassment and YouTube demonetization. So if you guys want to chat with me here in YouTube, please let me know. Hang out. Let's do this. So first and foremost, I want to talk about sexual harassment. This is a tough topic, I think, for a lot of people to talk about. It can be really, really difficult to, to chat about. I don't know. It's kind of tough. But I wanna chat about it either way. I think it's important for us to shed light on it and chat about it. I might share a couple of stories because I think it is important to chat about. I see people right now in the chat talking about sports. I think Celtics. Bro, I do not watch sports. Jordan is like, I'm sorry, bro. I do not watch sports. I play video games though. About to finna play some Destiny after this live stream. But yeah, so I wanted to chat with you guys about this. Sexual harassment, definitely the number one thing I want to talk about today, guys. I made a video about it. It's called Sexual Harassment Isn't Cute. Feel free to check that out. I know it's a little heavy. The topic is a little heavy. I got a little emotional during it. I didn't cry or anything like that, but I did get a little heated because there's a lot of craziness going on in this world right now, right? There's all of these accounts of sexual harassment by really important people, right? Really famous people. There's a statistic out there that basically a majority of people are sexually harassed. Like, again, I don't know the actual statistic, but a lot of people get sexually harassed. Men, women, adults, children. It's messed up across the board. And so I wanted to talk about it. First and foremost, a friend of mine hit me up and she was like, "Hey, I liked your video. I noticed that you were a little upset, so you were kind of talking in circles, but I did want, she mentioned that I should go ahead and put the national hotline for sexual assaults in the comment section. So I decided to put it in the description. There it is, if you guys can see it. And I also put a anti-sexual violence organization URL in there as well, website, so you guys can click on that as well and check that out. So if you guys need to reach out to somebody, then feel free to do that. And I think that's first and foremost the thing that I want to talk about. If you've been sexually harassed, and I don't just mean assaulted, but I mean any kind of harassment, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a public official. I think you should tell somebody. That's the first thing I think on my mind. What's good, Adrian? What's good, Sora, ZY? But yeah, I really think that I just really think that you should tell somebody. And I think you should talk to, if you don't know who to talk to, again, that national hotline for sexual assaults, again, that's down in the description. So please go ahead and check that out. But yeah, I want to talk about this because I think it's good to shed light on it. Many people have been sexually assaulted, and I have a lot of friends that have been sexually harassed. I myself have been sexually harassed, and so I wanted to go ahead and again shed some light on this. So the reason I decided to start talking about this is actually because of Harvey Weinstein. If you guys don't know who that is, he is a huge, I believe, I guess, producer, and he has a giant production company, very well known. And so, I wanted to go ahead and talk about it because so many actresses basically have come out and talked about how, and I mean dozens of actresses have come out and said, Harvey Weinstein sexually harassed me. And some of it's sexual assault, some of it's just sexual harassment. Assaults, right, is like actually physically getting sexual with somebody when you don't want it. Sexual harassment is really anything, right? Like sexual harassment can be any kind of sexual advancement that you don't want. So that could be like saying something like going to someone. I don't really want to give that many explanations or examples, but sexual harassment is like you saying something when someone doesn't want to hear it. That has to do with them sexually. That has to do with them, physically. And it's wrong. And you shouldn't do it. And so when I heard about the Harvey Weinstein situation, I was like, man, this is so messed up. But then I heard about it from one of my favorite companies of all time. And again, this is in the video, so if you guys want to see a shortened version of this, go ahead and watch the video. Again, sexual harassment isn't cute. But go ahead and check that out. But again, the Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog, the guys that make, Naughty Dog, they make Uncharted, they make The Last of Us, they made Crash Bandicoot, some of my favorite games. The Last of Us literally is my favorite game of all time, and so it made me really, really, really upset when I saw. Man, it got me really upset when I heard that a really important developer there was sexually harassed by a lead. So a lead being someone really, really important within the industry or within the company. Someone that leads a project within the company. That's sad. And I think the worst part about it is that a company, basically Sony, when this person went to Sony's HR, that person basically was fired afterwards. So the story is really messed up. They also gave him a contract to say, they also gave him a contract to basically keep quiet about it, and they paid him $20,000, and he said no. He was like, I'm not signing it, so he didn't sign it. And again, I think the worst thing about this is, you don't know if it's true or not. And so I usually lie on the side of believing that person. And so it's kind of messed up. It's kind of messed up. Anyway, so I'm already seeing some comments. That's why, sorry if I'm kind of off. It's because I'm reading a lot of these. Chain, I know you can see my comments. Yeah, no, Omayoki, I see you right now. Somebody at my school said that boy can get raped. Yes, boys can definitely get raped. Boys can be sexually harassed. Boys can be sexually assaulted. I think that's a misconception. That's kind of sad. I believe, Omar, you said can't, but they totally can, and it's messed up. But they definitely can. They definitely can. So I think, I think I'm gonna go ahead and tell a small story of mine. I'm gonna keep looking at your guys' comments, but I want to tell a story of mine. That way, we're all on the same page here. So when I was really, really young, not really, really young, when I was in middle school, going into high school, I had this, a friend that was a girl. She was cool. I thought. We did a show together. We did a show, musical called Rent. If you guys don't know that musical, it's a great musical. You should watch it. It's a movie, so you guys can watch the movie. Great movie. And I did that with a school, and I met someone, and I thought we were really close friends. After the show, we decided to go hang out, like as friends outside of theater, outside of rehearsals and things like that. So we became friends. We decided to start hanging out, and so I started hanging out with this girl, and I didn't realize it at the time. I had a girlfriend when I was in elementary school, like when I was really young, like first and second grade. Outside of that, I didn't really. So this was like 7th, 8th grade going into high school, right? 8th grade going into high school. And so we were hanging out. And I remember one time we were it was raining. I think we went to like a haunted house or something. And she lifted up her shirt and was like, oh, what do you think about my bra? And I'm a young boy at the time. She's a young girl. And some people would say, that's awesome. For me, I don't really know what I thought. But this was the beginning, right? I'm not going to say I was sexually harassed at this moment. But at that point, I was like, I don't know. It's nice, I guess. Because I didn't know what else to say, right? I wasn't, I don't know. That was the first time I had ever had that happen to me. That was the first time I'd ever really had a sexual experience like that, actually. So that was kind of weird for me. Afterwards, we hung out more. We went out a little bit more. We weren't dating or anything like that. We were just friends. But she was talking about this kind of stuff. She was doing this kind of stuff. And so I was like, whoa, all right. One day, and she was doing this often, right? Like she would often be like, oh, like, what do you think about my pants? What do you think about my butt in these pants? What do you think about my bra? Things like that. And I just kind of paid it no mind. I wasn't really sure how to respond. As a boy, right? As a male, we're kind of taught that that's supposed to be cool. So in my head, I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess this is kind of cool. A girl likes me and she's like showing me her body. So that's cool, I guess, right? And that was weird. But at the same time, I was like, I guess this is cool, right? But what happened was it went a step further. So we went to the movies and I saw Benjamin Button. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's like the mystery of Benjamin Button. I can't remember. It's a movie about a baby that looks like an old guy, and then he starts off really old and ages backwards. It's kind of random. And I'm at this movie with her. We're hanging out, and basically, while we're at this movie, she holds my hand, and I was like, okay, cool. Now that's not sexual harassment, right? Unless I said no, it's not sexual harassment for the most part, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she's holding my hand. I guess we're friends. I guess we're more than friends, maybe. She's not just showing me her bra, telling me her butt looks good. Now she's holding my hand. She takes it a step further. She takes my hand and puts it on her chest. And she makes me feel her chest. And I'm like, oh boy, I don't really know how to feel about this. I've never done that before. And she was like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, I'm trying to watch this movie. And then she moves my hand down to between her legs. And then she puts it in her pants. And at that point, I would say that was sexual harassment. I had no clue what was going on. I'm a young boy. I didn't ask for that. I didn't even say I wanted that. I didn't say anything about it. She was just doing it. And I had no idea what to do. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was a little freaked out. I went to my two best friends at the time, two other girls at the time. And I really liked them. They were really nice to me. They never sexually harassed me or anything like that. And I told them, I was like, this is what just happened to me. And luckily these were really close friends of mine. And so they were like, hey, maybe we should hang out with you when you're with her. And so we hung out with her a couple more times, and they were there. And in the end, I realized that she was a little bit more crazier than I had thought. She started talking about her ex-boyfriend and how she was getting involved with him and all this stuff. And I was like, this is too much. So that was my experience being sexually harassed by a girl. Now, obviously I'm a man now, and there are women in my life now. So back then I was a boy. These were girls, I guess, whatever. I've also been sexually harassed by other boys though. I was in a boys choir for a really long time. And I loved it. I love being in a boys choir. I sing. For those that don't know that, I don't sing anymore like professionally or anything like that, but I would sing. And I really enjoy singing, and I was singing in this choir, and we would go on tour. I don't think my parents know this. I don't think I've talked to my parents about this, but we would go on tour to, all across the world. I went on tour to China. I went on tour to Scandinavia, which is in Europe. I went on tour to Greece and Turkey. I've been all over the world, right? Which is awesome, by the way. That's a whole nother story. We can get into story time another time. But there are multiple times where I've been sexually harassed, where boys have taken advantage of me, being very young and not really knowing anything, and older boys were taking advantage of that. I also had my dad had a friend, older, and his son also sexually harassed me. It's crazy. It's happened to me multiple times, and I think as a male, we're told to think about it differently. And so by other men or by other boys, it was really uncomfortable because you don't really know what's going on, especially when you're so young and it's just so messed up, and your brain, you don't know what to think, and it's just so messed up. And with girls, you're told that basically you should like it, that it's not sexual harassment because you're supposed to like it. And it's just so messed up. You know what I mean? So I wanted to go ahead and share my stories. I have a couple more stories. I don't really think they're that important in terms of what has happened to me. But I did want to go ahead and share two other stories around sexual harassment where I have harassed someone. And one where I have harassed someone. The second one where I think it's a gray area. And this is one of the things I want to talk about. But I think it's important to talk about these things so you guys know. So this time I was very young. I don't actually remember it that well. I was in elementary school, and AOL Instant Messenger, which just recently got shut down, I think, which is basically a chat platform like Facebook Messenger or anything like else, but a long time ago, right? So it was part of AOL. I was chatting with a girl on AOL, and my friend, old time friend of mine, we're not really that close anymore at all. We message every once in a while on Facebook. We sent her some messages that were like, hey, you're sexy or something like that. And at a very young age, that can be scary, that can be confusing. And I think we said like, you're really hot. And I don't think I knew anything about sex or anything like that. So I didn't really say any of that stuff. I just said like, you're really hot, right? Or you're really cute or something like that. And my mom saw it and she grilled me. She was like, oh, you don't do that. And that was messed up. I don't remember who it was to. I don't remember when it happened, but that is sexual harassment. Now, if you see a girl or you see a woman and you're like, hey, I think you're really attractive, I'm not saying that that's sexual harassment, but when I'm like, hey, you're sexy, hey, you're hot, hey, I'm thinking about you physically, that's sexual harassment. Like, I don't want to hear that. If you're a straight male, I want you to put yourself in the position of you being a boy and a grown man saying that to you. That's scary. That's not fun. That's not cute. That's very scary. And that's the kind of thing that I think a lot of boys or men don't realize that they do to women sometimes. And I'm not saying that it's always that scary for women. I'm just saying that that happens, right? Again, if a grown man comes up to me, bigger than me, larger than me, and says like, hey, I think you're sexy, I would be very scared. I would be very uncomfortable. And so you have to think about that sometimes when you're doing that. No, you should think about it every time when you're doing that to anybody else. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to mention that. That was one of the times, again, with this girl when I was in elementary school. Some of you guys are really young. Some of you guys are older. Think about things before you say them. Don't just walk around the hallways, yelling at girls, calling them all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. That's not okay. And if it has happened to you, and I'm not talking about if someone says something to you like, hey, you're hot, or hey, you're sexy, and you don't like it, or if someone's objectifying you and you don't like it, tell somebody. If you're in school, tell the principal, tell administration. If you're at work, tell HR, tell the administration, tell the police. You know what I'm saying? And if it gets worse than that, then I highly recommend certainly calling those people and telling those people. But at the same time, again, there are national hotlines, again, in the description. Feel free to do that. This is a serious topic. It's a serious topic. There's one other instance I want to talk to you guys about. I had an ex-girlfriend. And this is scary. This is very, very scary. I had an ex-girlfriend who... She was my ex-girlfriend at the time. Like, we were not dating. We had dated. It did not work out. And I was in college, which was at Purdue. And I left Purdue, which is in Indiana, the Midwest, to come back home in New Jersey. And my girlfriend lived in Philadelphia. Or my ex-girlfriend lived in Philadelphia. We were not together at the time. And she was like, hey, like, I know you're visiting. You should come by my place. You should hang out. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can come hang out with you like that. That's a tough situation. She ended up coming over my place. And we were hanging out in her car, and she was like, hey, I know that you and I, we're not together anymore, but just want to let you know that basically she was alluding to the fact that we could be friends with benefits. She wanted to keep doing things sexually and physically without being together. And I wasn't really cool with that. It actually made me really upset because I was trying to be friends with her. She had been a friend of mine for years, and I got really upset that she still wanted to do sexual things and physical things, and I didn't want to. I got really upset, and she apologized, and I said, it's cool. And so, basically, she then later went back home, and that night she was still telling me I should come over. And I was like, that seems like a bad idea. And she was like, no, come on. I really care about you. I wouldn't do anything that you don't want to do. She's like, I just think you really need to be around people that care about you. And I was like, maybe. And so I messaged my boy Ballistic Phoenix, my boy Dave, and I was like, yo, what's good? I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Should I go or should I not go? He told me not to go, and I was an idiot, and I went. So I went to her place in Philadelphia. Oh boy. I went to her place in Philadelphia, went to her house, and she led me to her bedroom, and we hung out for a bit. And it was pretty late, and we were pretty close. And she was like, what are you thinking? And we talked. And we ended up doing things physically. We ended up doing things sexually. And, you know, it was crazy. I was not that happy about it. But I also was like, maybe this is a one-time thing. I don't really want, you know, like, let's end it there or whatever. And so the next day we woke up. I went back home. And she went to work. She actually showed me her job. We spoke. And everything seemed okay. The next day, she told me that we weren't going to be friends anymore because I took advantage of her and I had sexually harassed her. I had sexually harassed her. This was so uncomfortable. And this is the kind of situation that people can get into. This was very scary for me. On one end, she was asking me to be friends with benefits. I mean, she was sexually advancing onto me. She was putting her hands on me, was like, we should do things, and I was getting upset by it. I then went to her place. We mutually did things together, and she said I took advantage of her. This is scary. This is scary. And so the reason I'm telling you that is because I want you guys to, again, think before you act. Think before you do things. Now, luckily, we've since then talked about it, and we're on the same page. She said that I didn't take advantage of her, that I didn't sexually harass her, and that she was... she extrapolated the situation, et cetera, and so we've had a coming of peace since then. And still, it's sad and it makes me upset. And I want you guys to be careful. I want you guys to think about these things. Men and women, boys and girls, and anything in between. I want you guys to think about stuff before you do it, before you say it. Please. So the Naughty Dog situation is messed up. Sexual harassment is wrong. A dude was sexually harassed and the company didn't even back him. That's wrong. That is messed up. I'm just talking to you guys on like the most basic level, like person to person, not even person to company. Person to company is a whole nother thing. That is so messed up. And again, if this has happened to you, please go seek help. Like, you don't have to live with that alone. You're not alone. I just told you not all of my stories, but a lot of my stories. I've been sexually harassed. I've been sexually assaulted. So, you know, just figured I'd let y'all know that. Anyway, so I'm going ahead, taking a look at the chat now. Sorry, I kind of ignored you guys a little bit on that. Let's see. Manny said I was holding a girl's hand and she took it way too far and she almost kisses in class. So I didn't want to get in trouble, so I switched spots with my best friend. Smart. You got to be careful. You got to think about these things. Let's see. Neon Skittle says, Chain, you need some protection. I try my best, dude. I don't think I need protection. I mean, you need sexual protection. Yeah. Make sure are always being safe. But in terms of protection from sexual harassment, everybody needs to definitely learn that skill for themselves to be able to protect themselves. But it should never happen in the first place. It's not their fault ever. It's not my fault that I was sexually harassed. It's not my fault that I was sexually assaulted. It's not anybody's fault. It should never happen to them. It's not cool. Have you heard of the CD Projekt Red situation? I know you watch Young. Yeah, Adrian, you're correct. I have seen that. Sora, you said any tips for winning Terra/lingering will. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. But being friends with beanies just seems like the two people are taking advantage of each other. I don't know what that means. Oh, being friends with benefits. Oh, being friends with benefits yeah. I mean, being friends with benefits, I think, is up to two adults, or even 2 adults. I don't want to talk about kids. It makes me uncomfortable. two human beings who consensually come together and say, we want to do something together. That's all you. I can't tell you what to do. But if you're both saying yes, then fine. I can't tell you what to do. It's probably not gonna work out. But hey, to each his own. I'm telling you now. If I had, if someone came up to me, I've dated people who I wasn't in a relationship with yet, right? Like I was testing the relationship, seeing if this could work before we jumped in, and we've had sexual encounters. And I don't think that that's wrong. I think both of us were like, hey, do you want to try this? And we both decided yes, and we did that, and it's cool. There are situations where we decided not to go out. There are situations where we have decided to go out, or we decided to, figure things out longer. In some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't. I remember that in Halloween that some people get sexually harassed. People get sexually harassed all the time. I think in Halloween, there's a lot of conversation around, Adrian, I will mention the CD Projekt Red thing in a minute. If you guys want to talk about that, we can totally talk about that. Halloween, I think in a lot of situations, women get a bad rep because they'll wear sexualized clothing, and men or other women think it's okay to then objectify them or sexually harass them. I'm in the camp where I don't think that that's true. I think that that's wrong. I think that if I'm wearing revealing clothing, if a woman is wearing, or girl or whatever is wearing revealing clothing, or if they're trying to present themselves in a specific way, sexually harassing them is not okay. If you go up to a girl who, if someone's wearing something very sexual and you go up to them and you're like, ooh, you look good, there's a gray line there about it being sexual harassment. There is a gray line and you need to be careful. Some people will say, oh, they were asking for it. Do they have a sign that says I'm asking for it? Did they say I'm asking for it? Did they say, hey, what do you think about my butt? I've been asked that before. People have asked me, what do you think about my butt? And if I was like, I think it looks good, and they were like, sexual harassment? No, that's not sexual harassment. You asked me, right? But if someone's like, hey, what do you think about my butt? And then I start grabbing on it, that's sexual harassment. You gotta be careful. You have to be careful. Sexualized clothing are the mainstream female costumes. Adrian, I agree with you. That is the mainstream female costume. And so if you wear that, that does not necessarily mean that you should be subjected to sexual harassment. That's not what that means. If someone wears sexual, if it's their fault if they get sexually harassed. Sorry, I disagree with you. Now, we can talk about it. We can have a conversation. I'm not going to flame you here, but I disagree with you. If someone wears something sexual, I'll give you an example, right? At this point in time, it's pretty normal for women to walk around in really tight, clothes, right? For example, leggings. I have people come into my work with leggings. There are women with some pretty nice bodies, to my opinion, you know what I'm saying? And they're wearing really tight leggings. And that does not mean I can come up to them and be like, hey, you got a real nice booty. You can't do that. Just because they want to wear something comfortable that shows something off to them doesn't mean that they should be subjected to that. If they're wearing something that is a little bit tighter, a little bit more revealing, still doesn't mean you can go out there like that. You can ask, you can be like, hey, can I mention your clothing real quick? Think about it this way, right? You're at the beach. All of these women are wearing bikinis and whatever. All of these men are wearing Speedos. They're wearing trunks. You see this dude with a Speedo on. You see this woman with the most revealing bikini on. Dudes can't just be walking by. Women can't just be walking by being like, hey, nice package. Hey, nice booty. You can't do, that's not okay, right? You can't do that. So I understand what you're saying. But hey, I just don't agree. Sorry, you said can they wear normally, stop wearing half jeans, half shirt, and they are like, look at me. That happens in Scandinavia countries a lot. Yeah, so I think there's a difference, right? If I see a woman and she's wearing revealing clothing, and I look at her, right? I'm not saying that's sexual harassment, right? If she's like, hey, stop looking at me, I'm gonna be like, you know what, whatever, homie. Like, that's difficult not to look at. You are difficult not to look at. I might even say something. I'll be honest. If a woman comes by, and when I say something, I don't mean say something like sexual harassment. I mean, I would be like, hey, your clothes are revealing. Sorry. It was hard for me not to look. I apologize. Right? Now, she may freak out, but I don't think I was in the wrong there. If a woman walks up and she's half naked and I'm like, oh, I double take, and she's like, hey, what are you looking at? I'm going to be like, sorry, you were wearing really revealing clothing. I apologize. I don't even have to apologize. I might be like, sorry. I would probably apologize. That's who I am. But I'd be like, hey, you were wearing revealing clothing. You know, my fault. I would probably apologize still. I would probably apologize. See, like, men, we don't wear, like, I mean, the most sexual thing about us, I mean, I don't know. I'm not attracted to men, so it's hard for me to tell what men are attracted to or whatever. But again, it's like, pretend, a good example. Let's say you're a big buff dude. I'm talking like weightlifter, you know, I'm talking like bodybuilder, right? And you got some big muscles. I'm assuming that that's sexually attractive, right? And you're walking around with these nice big arms, right? And you got a real high up shirt. That doesn't mean you have to be subjected to people coming up to you, feeling up on your muscles and being like, hey, your muscles are huge, dude. Yo, you look real good. That's not, no. Like, stop talking to me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, there's a line, there's a bar, but, you know, whatever. I don't think if a woman is wearing something that shows off her body, I don't see why that's wrong. That's like, you know, what I'm asking, you know, Sora, do you believe that if you go to the beach and everybody's wearing a bikini, you can just come up to them and start sexually harassing them? Is that what you're telling me? Again, I'm not trying to flame you in here, but I'm just saying, like, that's what it sounds like you're saying. And if you think it's okay for, if a girl is wearing a bikini, for you to go grab her booty, then that's a little rapey. I'm not trying to, you know, we all got opinions, but to me, that's a little rapey, and I think that's wrong. I'm just putting that out there. The 1960s were a good time. Sure, man. I don't know. People were more racist in the 1960s. I'm not about that life. It's honestly disgusting. Like, I'll see something for little girls that were sexualized. Yeah, it's messed up. Yeah, I'm with you, Adrian. I'm with you. If you're talking about the Halloween costumes, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. It's a man's world, right? Like, men are pushing the agenda consistently. If you don't believe that, that's a different conversation. But men are pushing the agenda. And straight men are pushing the agenda for the most part, right? Like, straight men want to see women in a specific way. They're going to put product out there to make them be in a specific way. You know what I'm saying? Sora says it's mostly Easter costumes, not Halloween. Costumes in general, homie. I think that's what people want to see. That's what people do. And then people get mad about it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's the same, you know, I don't know. It's like porn stars, right? There are porn stars out there who get careers after being in porn, and then people are like, you know, keep objectifying them, keep saying things to them on social media and things like that. I think that that's wrong. If you're a prostitute, prostitution is legal some places. If you're a stripper, you know, like if you're a stripper that's a good example. If you're a stripper at a strip club, you can't just go up to a stripper and start touching on them. You're about to get kicked out, or you're going to pay for it, right? If you start touching a stripper, you're going to get sick. You're going to get kicked out, or you're going to have to pay for it. You can't just start sexually assaulting a stripper just because she's a stripper. You're wrong. Like, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Adrian, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Mia Khalifa, that's a good example. Phil DeFranco. I think we watched the same content, Adrian. You know what I'm saying? Sora, you can talk about these girl gamers. Okay, so listen. I'm not trying to put. All right, we need to level set here, Sora. I'm not saying if a woman comes out here sexualized, right? If she's coming out there trying to be super sexual, if she's out there and she's like, look at my body and things like that, that does not mean you can be disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? Let's move away from the sexual harassment part for a second. It's about respect. If a woman starts showing her body, if a man starts showing his body, let's say a man takes off his shirt and he's a bodybuilder and he's flexing and playing video games. You can't disrespect him. I mean, you can, but that makes you a bad person. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that is wrong. Hey, sorry, don't worry about your bad English. I'm not worried about it. What kind of content? Oh God, Adrian. You know, I'm saying, like, that's wrong, right? Like, you can't start disrespecting people because of what it's not. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say you can't. You can do whatever you want. I think it's wrong to disrespect people because of their own choices that don't hurt anybody. If a woman's walking around half naked, if a man's walking around half naked, how does that hurt you? How does that hurt you? Why would you start hurting them? You know what I'm saying? To me, that seems wrong. Content cop on Chaingear is a good idea. Hey, you know what? Sora, you believe whatever you want, homie. I'm not trying to argue with you, homie. I'm having a discussion. So if you want to chat about it further, I'm just saying, to me, seems a little weird. I'm not about that life. Whatever. Manny says it's like GTA 5 when you go there and you touch girls and you get kicked out. Manny, thank you. Thank you. Look, I'm not saying there's no grayness, right? There's black and white, and then there's gray, right? The black and white is obvious in a lot of ways, right? Like, if I walk by a woman and I look at her for a minute and she's like, you're sexually harassing me, that's not true. I'm not. But if I walk past a woman and I'm like, hey, let me grab that booty, that's sexual harassment. That's in the black. That's easy. I don't care what she's wearing. That's sexual harassment. That's sexual harassment. Like, let's say they weren't wearing that. That's sexual harassment. The gray area, I can argue, we can talk about, but come on. You know what I'm saying? Chain, if a cute girl tells you to come over, will you go? In general, if a random cute girl, nah. I don't know what's going on. I don't know that person. But if I know the person, we have to talk. We have to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, nah. Blue and red, black and white, who cares? Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to actually, like, you know, say black and white isn't black people, white people. I'm just saying, like, you know, there's 0 and 1. You went binary instead. There's 0 and 1. Like, 0 is not happening. 1 is definitely happening. All the decimals in between, that's tough. Anyway, woo. All right, we talked about this a lot longer than I thought. So if you guys want to chat about anything else, we got about a couple minutes. I have to hop off. I'm gonna hop on some Destiny, and today's the reset. So Sora, Gray Lives Matter. You know, let me know. Let me know if you guys want to chat about anything more before I head out. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you guys letting me get this off my chest. I'll probably edit this, shorten it down or whatever, but whatever. Chain is the new opera. You know, I thought about singing again. I also thought about singing on the channel as well. Oh, Adrian, you mentioned CD Projekt Red. You gotta invite me. I want to play. Sora, I don't know if we have the same views about sexual harassment. I don't know if I want to play with you. No, I'm just playing. Kind of. I'm kind of kidding. I think Sora, like, we're cool, but I also think you're kind of a troll. As you just said, Gray Lives Matter, and you think that women who wear specific clothing should be sexually harassed. I think that's kind of weird. So I don't really know. But I have to think about it. But I have thought about singing on the channel. My roommate sings, I sing. At one point, we thought about creating a musical around MGS5, Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah. Sorry, no, we're cool. Like, I'm not mad or anything like that, but you're definitely a troll, homie. You're definitely a troll. Adrian, we can chat about CD Projekt Red for like a minute. Let's do this. I do want to make a separate video on game developers overall, and I want to have a couple discussions about that. Maybe we can stream. I think if this keeps going on where like 5 people are watching at a time, I could totally keep doing these kind of things. Maybe not weekly, or maybe not daily, but maybe weekly. I could do a stream and just kind of talk with you guys about topics, maybe put a game in the background or something like that. If you guys are cool with just chatting and music, let me know. But yeah, I'm troller, maybe I'm fake account. I mean, sorry, whatever, dude. But yeah, Adrian, CD Projekt Red. So I'm in the working world, right? I work at a company that is an incredible place to work, and so I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of things when it comes to the working world. CD Projekt Red, I think, is interesting I don't really know much about Poland, but in the U.S., you can, when you work, um, basically you can be fired and you can quit at any time. You don't have a contract that forces you to work for a specific amount of time when you're employed, for the most part. If you're a contract, it's a little bit different. Usually there's a clause about being able to break or not break. But other than that, you can work at a company or not work for a period of time. So I have interesting ideas around, or thoughts around, things like CD Projekt Red. It sounds like people aren't treated super well at CD Projekt Red all the time, but like, you can quit CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red is like a large game company at this point with over 200 people. If you don't want to work there, you don't have to. That's one of my thoughts. But I also just think it's terrible when game companies treat their employees wrong. So I have two sides of this. One is, I think developers need to take care of themselves more. And when I say themselves, I mean developers need to come together and take care of themselves. And I also think that, because if all developers, right, band together and they're like, we don't like these practices, then those practices won't continue because you won't work at that development studio anymore. But outside of that, I think that's a way to fix some of these issues. But outside of that, I'm tired of hearing about companies not treating their employees right. I think it's wrong. So we can totally talk about that. I would love to talk to you about that. I think large companies take advantage of people, and I think that that's wrong. I think people take advantage of people. I think that's wrong. I think taking advantage of things is wrong for the most part. They treat their consumers well. They make good games. They treat their employees like poop. Yeah, I mean, not all of their employees, it seems. It doesn't seem like they treat them like poop. Sorry, I'm not going to curse on the channel, get demonetized. But they definitely, they don't treat them all super well, right? Like, they work long periods of time. But I think, again, like, you don't have to work there, right? Like, at the company that I work right now, if all of a sudden someone was like, if someone was all of a sudden like, oh, you're going to work twice the amount of time today, I'm going to be like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go look for another company now. And if I left and interviewed at other companies and I was like, yeah, I left this company because their culture is really bad. I was doing some really great work. Here's the work that I was doing. I do not want to work at this, with this company anymore. Again, you can leave whenever you want. But there are some it isn't that black and white, unfortunately. There's a lot of gray in there. Sometimes you sign non-disclosure agreements. Sometimes you sign non-competition clauses. And so that means you can't work at another game studio. I've never heard that, but it's messed up. Adrian, you're correct. Consumers like gold, employees like poop, is a quote from one of the employees. Yeah, it's true. I mean, again, this happens at companies. Yeah, I think CD Projekt Red should have better management. I think that they should probably pay for a management consulting company or some sort of consulting company to come in and take a look at their management and help them so their employees stay longer. But again, they don't have to, right? They don't have to do that. They're a company. They can do whatever they want. They own the company, and people don't have to work for them. So I don't agree with their practices. I would never work for them. Just like I wouldn't work for a company. Just like if all of a sudden EA Sports asked me to work for them, I'm not going to do that because I don't care about EA Sports. If Heartsuit Labs or Boss Key Studios hit me up, I'd have to think about it. So, anyway, hey, don't curse yet. No, Manny, I'm not trying to curse, homie. I think that's good. We'll talk about game developers later. I think that's another conversation for another time. Thanks so much, guys, for watching this video. We've been on for like 45 minutes. I think I'm going to cut it here. Thanks so much for chatting with me. I'm going to, again, try and cut the beginning of this where you couldn't hear me. It was really loud. Hopefully people can rewatch this if they want. Feel free to chat in the comment section below afterwards. Hit me up on Discord, guys. Discord's a little slow, but it's still a great place for people to hang out. So feel free to, that's the sexual harassment hotline thing. Feel free to check that out. And here is the Discord information. Night, guys. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out, play some Destiny. I'll see you guys online, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.